In the last tutorial, I showed you how to create an orthographic drawing of the fixture block. Now I'm going to use this as my starting point to create an oblique drawing of the fixture block as well. So to do that, an oblique drawing usually starts with the front view, and I've already got that drawn, so I'm just going to copy that over. So I'm going to say copy, and I'm going to select the objects, and then copy them over. I'm going to leave enough room that I can eventually put the border in here for this one. Now what I need to do is I need to give depth. I could show whichever side of the object that I want as my 3D view. I'm going to show it coming out this way, and I can do that by creating another axis at an angle of at any angle from the x-axis. So this time I'm going to use polar to do this. I'm going to right click on it, and I could select any of these angles out of here, or in this case, just to show you, I'm going to go and set the angle to 50 degrees. Now just double check that this is set to, that the polar angle measurement is set to absolute for this particular case. That's how I want to do it. You can set it so that it's absolute, in which case 50 degrees is only going to be at the 50 degree mark. Sorry about that. Or you can do it relative to the last segment, in which case if I had done a line at an angle of 10 degrees and then going 50 more, it would be 60. So I'm going to leave it in the absolute and then say OK. And now I'm going to start my line command. And notice that what happens here, when I get to 50 degrees, it gives me a ray. And that means that I'm locked in at 50 degrees. Now I can give the distance that I want to go in that direction. If I go back to my orthographic drawing, I see that the depth of this object is 54. And what we do in oblique drawings, and this is only for oblique drawings, is we cut the depth dimensions in half. So instead of being 54, it's going to be 27. So I'm going to type in 27, and now I've got a line going straight across. Now I can escape from that, and now I can turn off my polar, I can turn ortho back on, and I can draw a line straight up now. This one was, I believe, 18 millimeters straight up, so I'm going to type in 18, and now I can come back and just tie in. Notice that even though I had ortho on, my O-snap will override it, so I was able to draw this line at an angle by connecting to the end point of the line. Now I could go and draw lines at these same angles again. I could turn polar on, or I could just copy these lines that I've already got at 50 degrees. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say copy, select this one, and I'm going to copy it from there to there. I need to move this back because it actually should have been back at this back edge. So I could redraw that, or I can just move it. I can take these three lines, and actually what I will do instead is I will trim this line down. I'll draw in a line from this end point so that I've got it as a separate line segment, and now I can move these ones. Again, I could have just drawn these again at this end point, but since I've already got them, easier for me just to move it. Now I could draw a line from this point across, and I need this to come out 25 this way and then down. So I'm going to draw a line. What I can do is delete this line and draw in a line. This is 54 minus 25 is going to leave me with 29. And so I'm going to turn my polar back on to get it at 50 degrees, and I'm going to type, it'll be 29 divided by 2. So it's going to be 14.5. And then I need to go straight up. Now I could copy this. I need this one, and this one, and this one, all to go from there, there. And then I can join my lines and erase the parts that I don't need anymore. I can erase this bit out. And now I've got my object drawn. I don't need the hidden lines anymore. So actually they're going to help me there. I can, in order to put the hole in here, I could actually use these. I know that I want to go from this point in by 14, but then I need to cut that in half. So I'm going to draw a line, or draw a line from here at 50 degrees. I want it to go by 7 in, and then I need to go across this way 34, and then I need to go in by half of 25, which is going to be 12.5. And now I can come back by 34. Notice that, I need to come back this way. I'm going to turn ortho back on again. 34. Notice that when I'm going in the X direction, I don't cut my depth dimensions in half, or when I'm going in the Y direction. It's only when I'm going at the depth, which I would call the Z axis. That's the only time that I cut my dimension in half. If I didn't do that, this thing would look way too deep. It would look wonky because it would be so deep. So this is almost like giving perspective to something, but it isn't actually in perspective because these two lines are are parallel. Now I can get rid of my thin lines that I happen to have in there, and now I've got the oblique drawn. So now I need a border for it, so I'm going to copy the border. And I'll just copy it over. And I need to change the title block. Sorry, I'm going to go to Modify, Object, Text Edit, and click on it. And now I can type in, this is going to be an oblique drawing. So oblique, and then I would change the date if I needed to. It's still a 1:1 scale drawing. And since this is of the same object, I'm going to change this to drawing number 2 now, rather than leaving it drawing number 1. Now I need to center it. So again, I think about the smallest rectangle that'll fit around the object. I've got one corner down here. I need another corner up here. So I'm going to temporarily draw in some lines. I'm going to go straight across this way, longer than I need, and up this way. And now that gives me the corner of the smallest rectangle that will fit around this object. Right? So if we went up like this, across, down, and along like that, that would be the smallest rectangle that will fit around the object. Now I can draw a diagonal line from corner to corner and do the same thing in the drawing space. And now I can move my object from the midpoint of this line to the midpoint of this line. And now I've got it centered, so I can erase the lines that I don't need anymore. And now I've got my oblique drawing, and it's properly centered, and I've fixed the title block and so on. And that's the end of this lesson. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to create an isometric drawing of this same object.